Hey, this video is for my electric bass students. I'm going to be demonstrating changing strings and also talking about the differences between types of strings. I'm inserting a sound clip momentarily of my bass with a set of Bella Deep Talkin Bass, the 1954 original vintage set. Their model number is the 0760M, which is a 0.52 G string going down to a 0.110 E string. It's a pretty stiff, meaty string. I like it a lot, actually, but it's got a certain vibe to it, and that I really like. But I need to swap my strings to something a little bit brighter for some upcoming gigs, and I thought I would demonstrate the process of doing that and include some sound clips so that students can hear just how different your sound is when you change strings. So I'm going from the Bella heavy gauge flatwounds to these GHS Pressurewounds, which are a round wound string that's compressed to be a little smoother on the outside. And this is the medium light set, so it's going from a 0.44 G string to a 0.102 E string, so much thinner in diameter, and I expect it'll be a much brighter tone too. So I'm going to insert the sound clip of my bass with the heavy gauge Bella flats. This is the bass that I'm changing the strings on. It's a early 90s American-made Fender jazz bass, and the recordings were done straight into this Focusrite without any kind of EQ or tone tweaking or anything, so you're hearing the bass as cleanly as you can get it, I guess. I'm not going to demonstrate changing all four strings because that's time consuming, but I will demonstrate changing one string. I got my toolbox here, I got the new strings here, and I'm going to be saving these strings because, like I said, I like them a lot and I don't want to trash them. So I'm going to be using a string winder, although truthfully sometimes it's faster just to crank it by hand. Yeah, doing it one hand it's going to be hard, so I'm just going to do it by hand. So I'm just loosening the string. You can see it's completely lost tension. I can pop it off, and then I'm down to the bridge. And the string is so thick that it's kind of hard to fit through the bridge slot. This 110 E string is like a freaking bridge tie, man. This is incredibly stiff, thick string, and I absolutely love the sound and feel of it. I got it untwisted here a little bit to pull it out. And if I didn't have these gigs coming up where I needed a little bit of a different sound, I probably wouldn't take it off because I really like them. I have like a lighter gauge of the same string on my other bass because they're really nice. Man, this sucker. There we go. This is a lot harder to do one-handed because I'm holding my phone as my video camera. All right. So here is the 0.102 inch diameter E string from the GHS Pressurewounds, and see the silk winding on this is black, whereas on the Bella it was blue. Every brand and every model of string within each brand uses different colors to identify what the strings are. And you can see my cat is enjoying messing with the string that's laying across my lap. That's funny. All right, good job, dude. Knocked it on the floor. All right, so I'm unwinding the string here. And I'm going to feed it in through the slot, the same way that I took the other one out. Get it over the bridge style here. I should probably have... There we go. I should probably have a towel or something under my base on this table, I think. I might be scratching my table top. Just won't make my wife too happy. So you can see how much excess length there is for the string. We certainly don't need all of this. I'm going to trim some of it off. And to figure out what that distance is takes a little bit of trial and error. I've had this bass for quite a long time. I've had a number of Fenders in my life, and they're all pretty similar, so I've got a good judge of what this needs to be. So I can demonstrate this a little bit better. So I don't need this full length of string because I only want the wrap to go around the post, you know, maybe about 3 times. If I can get this a little closer, you can see on the strings that are already on, there are about, well, it looks like 4 on this side, but it's 3 on the other side, so I'm going to call that 3.5 wraps around the string. And the way that I get that is I actually use my string winder and string cutter tool as a kind of a guide, and I just have figured that that's out through trial and error how much length I need. So I rest one end of the cutter up against the post, and the other end of the cutter is where I'm going to cut the string. And you might want to experiment on your bass. Fenders have thicker posts than some other brands, so some other brands might need a little bit less length because it's just a thinner post to wrap around. String peg has a hole down the center, so I'm going to actually stick the string down into the center of that, and then bend the string and wrap it around the post. And this would be a heck of a lot easier if I had a second set of hands here, huh? And sometimes I can get 2 wraps on the first go. Cool, there we go. And then while I'm wrapping this, before I start winding it up, I just want to make sure things are laying nicely. I'm kind of a neat freak, so I like it to be real clean and organized looking. See? So I'm going to hold the string in place with my right hand to make sure that everything does exactly what I want while I wind the string. I mentioned I had the string winder, but truthfully, I just don't like them that much. It's not that hard to do it by hand. I have an attachment that connects to a drill, or a screwdriver, and that thing is pretty awesome. And I use that with my upright bass, but I just don't feel the need. Sometimes you got to finagle this stuff to make it fit real cleanly. All right. So there's differences between strings that are built in layers. This new string, the GHS, has a hex core as opposed to a round core, and I'll show you a diagram of what exactly that means in a second. But you can kind of hear the pitch. So you can see here in the picture of the packaging on this string, this is what I mean by the hex core. It's a 6-sided core, and then around that gets wrapped the first layer, and then around that gets wrapped the second layer of the wire. And every brand has different formulas for the diameter of each of those layers, which is why every brand of string sounds different, even if they're made of the same materials. So generally, strings that have a hex core are considered to be stiffer feeling, and strings that have a rounded core are a little bit more flexible. I'm going to get the bass up to pitch. I'm going to get all three other strings changed and up to pitch, and then demonstrate what they sound like. All right, so I got all the all the changed strings on this bass, and they feel way different as I knew they would. I'm going to have to do some setup work on the instrument to really affect the action and the playability. When you do a drastic change of strings from something that's super high tension to something that's a little bit lower in tension, the instrument goes all out of whack. So I'm not going to go over that stuff in this video, but I'll have to do some adjustments with the truss rod and the bridge saddles and the intonation and things like that. But I'll record the exact same licks that I recorded on the heavy flatwound strings, just so you can hear the difference. And I purposely played something down in the bottom registers just so that wouldn't have to worry about intonation and buzzing and fret noise and stuff in the upper register that I will have to deal with. Get this bass looked at or something.